Omar, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Raf, on this pretty terrible week for people in Lebanon.
You have family there?
I do, yeah, and they're terrified. Almost 2,000 people have been killed in the last week, and their homes have been rocking day and night. It's been impossible to sleep. You know, many of them have become refugees, been forced to leave their homes in search of safety. Not that there's anywhere safe in Lebanon. Israel has said any village or town that has a single refugee from the south becomes a legitimate target. And so, you know, it's a very scary time for the Lebanese people.
Forgive me, Omar, I thought they had warned a specific number of 30 villages in the south.
Yes, but people who fled from those villages or other villages, wherever they end up, Israel has said that place becomes a legitimate target. There's been a number of towns in the north of Lebanon that have been bombed purely for the fact that they have refugees from the south present, which I find shocking. It's basically terrorist activity, and it should not be tolerated by the world.
The PM's obviously not keen for a protest on Sunday. He's not calling for a cancellation of it. I don't know that I would describe him as keen to see a protest on Sunday. Some people are asking for this Sunday's protest to be cancelled because it is the day before October 7. What do you say to that?
I think that it is very symbolic and significant that this rally is taking place the day before October 7, because from the Palestinian, Lebanese and broader Middle Eastern perspective, October 7 was not the beginning of this war. Israel has been at war with the people of Palestine and the Middle East since before 1948, before Israel was even created. And so having a mass demonstration on October 6 to commemorate the over 41,000 people killed in 1 year and the thousands more displaced is absolutely appropriate.
You don't see that as risking. You don't see that as risking tension. I mean, it's very clear. There's some very. I can hear the passion in your voice. You will know there are 10 people listening to this thinking 10 very different things just as passionately. There's no concern in your mind about just ratcheting things down on Sunday?
Well, we are the ones calling for the situation to be ratcheted down because we are a peace movement. We are against Israel's war on Gaza and Lebanon, which has killed over 3,000 people confirmed. The Lancet Medical Journal has estimated that 23,000 people are dying each month from starvation and disease on top of those figures. So this is an atrocity that we are against. Unfortunately, it is Israel that has been expanding this conflict consistently, and now it looks like they're potentially getting what they want, which is a direct war with Iran. And so we are calling on the Australian government to stop providing military and political and economic support to Israel. The reality is Israel would not be able to fight this war without the support of the Americans and to a much lesser extent Australia. Just this week, Israel received $8.7 billion in military aid from the Americans. What message does this send to the Israelis? It says, go ahead, fire at will. Lebanese lives are not worth a drop. Palestinian lives are not worth a drop. Keep on going. And now we have the prospect of a regional war. So we will continue to protest as long as Israel is massacring people in Lebanon and Gaza.
Omar, you're not involved, I don't think. Tell me what's right or wrong. There will be a silent procession and vigil on Monday, organised by those who are who I would assume share a lot of your concerns for Palestinian Lebanese civilians. That's October 7, next Monday. Do you think that should go ahead? I don't know. Like, what's your view on that day?
Look, I think that event is being organised by some Palestinian people who recognise October 7 as the beginning of this 1 year long war. The vigil is a silent vigil, and it's, as far as I understand, and it's designed to commemorate the Palestinian lives that are lost and to once again highlight from their perspective that this situation did not begin on October 7. I think the reality is that framing Israelis as the victim in this situation when the death toll is 40 to 1 on the other side.
Maybe it's not about framing.
Ludicrous.
Maybe someone who's listening who either agrees with you or disagrees with you but doesn't spend as much time on this as you. A lot of people are interested in not having conflict and sort of giving people the space for you to do your thing and the other person to do their thing. Maybe if I can just play a little bit of what the PM said to us, because I asked him about the silent vigil on the Monday that is planned, I think, in both Melbourne and Sydney. He will be attending a commemoration on October the 7th for the lives lost in Israel. But I just asked him about the plan for the silent procession from the Palestinian Lebanese side, or the silent vigil on Monday. Here's what the PM said.
Well, there certainly shouldn't be any protests on October 7 because
Why not?
Because it would be seen, I think, as incredibly provocative. It would not advance any cause. It would cause a great deal of distress.
I'm told it's going to be a vigil and a silent procession.
Look, in a democracy, we allow for people. Indeed, it's important that people be able to express themselves peacefully. Anything that looks like it's a celebration of that would cause disharmony.
Omar Hassan, what do you make of that?
I think it's hilarious that the Prime Minister is talking about free speech and democracy when in New South Wales the police are trying to ban a demonstration the day before October 7. I think that Palestinians have the right to commemorate a 1 year of genocide that has been taking place in Gaza. And I actually support the right of Israelis to do the same. I think that we should have a society where the right to protest is absolutely enshrined. And even if I very much disagree with the Israeli side, I think the right to free speech is a paramount, a democratic right. And I think it's hypocritical for people to call on us, broadly defined, not to demonstrate. And some people are even saying it on the Sunday, as I said, the New South Wales police. But
can I ask you about the Sunday?
The reality is the Israelis have killed 40,000 people in Gaza. This is an atrocity on historic scale. This has never happened to the Palestinians before. Why are they being told they cannot commemorate this murder that has taken place? It's shocking.
Just two detailed questions, Omar, because you're an organiser of these rallies more than a participant. I'm just curious. Would you talk to? Is there a process where you talk to Victoria Police before this Sunday? I realise there's been a demo every Sunday. And also, if someone turns up with a Hezbollah flag, do you have a network of people that would tell them to go away? How does that work?
We do have police liaisons each week who communicate with the police.
Right, so there's a weekly communication there?
There is.
Okay.
And I think you've spoken to Nasser Mashni. He's one of the people who do that.
Okay, didn't know that.
So that's that happens. In terms of the Hezbollah flags, we as rally organisers and I myself are not Hezbollah supporters. But I think there's a very big misunderstanding in the Australian community about Hezbollah. Hezbollah are a mass political party in Lebanon. They're a prescribed
terrorist group in this country.
They enjoy about 30% support.
I appreciate that, Omar. If I can just restrict you in this answer, I'm just curious about. I'm not saying I'm not trying to tell you what is right or wrong. I just want everyone listening to understand. If you organise a demo on Sunday, would you go up to someone with a Hezbollah flag and say, "Look, that is potentially illegal in this country," or do you allow people to do that? What actually happens from a protest organiser point of view if someone pops up with one of those flags again?
Our perspective is that everyone who wants to protest against this war is welcome. We would prefer, obviously, that, and the messaging from the front reflects this, that it is not made about particular political parties or whatever, that it remains about the broader issue.
Do you tell them to put the flag away?
Palestinian people. But it is not our job to police the opinions of demonstrators.
Even with a flag of a group that's banned in this country?
Well, you didn't let me explain. So the Lebanon, 30% of people in Lebanon support Hezbollah, right? I'm not one of them, and no one on the rally organising team is. But if we want to have attendance of Lebanese people at these demonstrations, it is inevitable that the full spectrum of Lebanese political opinion will be represented. Now, it is not acceptable for the Australian community to act like Hezbollah are somehow equivalent to ISIS or Al-Qaeda. They're a mass political party. They have no interest in Australian politics. They're not trying to carry out any kind of terror attacks here. They are interested in the situation in Lebanon, rightly so. It is criminal what the Israelis are doing.
So, Omar, can I just point something out? I'm happy for you get on the radio and say what you think, and that's why I interviewed you. There is no doubt from the point of view of the Australian Parliament, Hezbollah and Hamas are on the same list as groups like Al-Qaeda. That's a decision made by a democratically elected government under laws passed by a democracy. So I invited you on. You get to say what you want to say, but it's not just a matter of opinion. The Parliament says that Hezbollah is a terrorist group and puts it on the same list as Al-Qaeda. They are two different things.
That's true, but parliaments have been wrong many times, my friend. Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist for decades, and now we celebrate his role in the challenge in the fight to end apartheid. There have been, it was once illegal for women to vote, and our parliament thought that was appropriate. Well, we changed that, didn't we? So, in my opinion, appealing to the authority of the Australian Parliament is farcical. This is a body that is run by people who supported the Iraq and Afghanistan war that killed over 1 million people connectedly in the Middle East. If there are serious terrorist organizations, they're the ones that I'm more worried about. Hezbollah has killed a fraction of the people in the last 12 months at Israel, possibly 30 times less people in Israel than Israel has killed in Lebanon. So if there's any terrorist organization, it's the Israeli state and the Americans who back them, in my opinion.
Thanks for coming on the radio.
My pleasure.
Omar Hassan, Lebanese chair of last Sunday's rally. He's a spokesperson for the Victorian Socialists, part of the groups that organise those, one of the groups that help organise those pro-Palestine and now pro-Lebanese protests regularly on the Sundays.